Hello everyone, welcome back to a detailed lecture. So today we are going to talk about a very important topic that plays a huge role in education, nutrition and social welfare, the midday meal scheme. Renamed as the Pradhan Mantri Poshan Shakti Nirman or PM Poshan scheme. Okay, so this particular topic is highly relevant for your UPSC prelims paper, especially in sessions on social sector initiatives and government schemes. In mains, it can be useful for GS paper 2 and GS paper 3 under sections such as governance, education, public health and nutrition. It can also serve as an important pointers in essay writing on topics related to social equality, nutrition and human resource development. We'll also look at some key reports, related schemes and practice questions, followed by a quick discussion on how to structure your answers. So let's get started. The midday meal scheme has a long history in India. In fact, it is not a new concept. It began way back in 1925 in Madras, now Chennai, with a simple but powerful goal to provide free lunches to underprivileged children in municipal schools. Okay, so this was an important step towards addressing hunger and improving school attendance. As time passed by, states like Tamil Nadu and Kerala expanded the program during the 1980s. These states realized the impact of providing free meals on children's health and education. Gujarat and Pondicherry also adopted it. The big turning point came in 1995 when the Government of India launched the scheme national-wide under the name National Program of Nutritional Support to Primary Education NPNSPE. Okay, so this expanded the scope, making it a national program to ensure children in government and government-aided school receive the free meals. In 2001, the Supreme Court mandated all government and government aided schools to provide cooked meals to the students. This ruling was instrumental in making midday meals a legal obligation for the government, directly impacting millions of children. In 2021, the scheme was renamed to PM Poshan to reflect its growing importance and to also include pre-primary children, Balvatikas, in government schools. This long journey shows how the scheme has evolved to become one of the largest school meal program in the world, with an aim to feed millions of children across India every day. Now let's discuss the objectives of midday meal scheme or the PM Poshan scheme. The scheme is not just about food. It's about education, it's about nutrition and it's about equality. The main goal here are to increase the enrollment and attendance. By providing free meals, the children from economically weaker sections are encouraged to come to school regularly. Many children who might otherwise skip school due to hunger attend because of the promise of a meal. And the next point is to improve the nutritional status. Child malnutrition is a significant problem in India. The midday meal scheme aims to provide a nutritious meal to provide children's health, making them more energetic and alert for learning. Next, to promote social equality. One of the most important and beautiful aspect of this scheme is that children from different caste and religion and socio-economic backgrounds sit together and share the same meal. So this helps break down social barriers and promotes harmony among them. Next point is to generate employment. The scheme also creates employment opportunities, especially for women who are often hired as cooks and helpers in schools. This provides an additional income source to rural households and help empower them. The midday meal scheme is tied to several important provisions in the Indian Constitution, highlighting its relevance to rights and state obligations. Article 21. The Supreme Court has ruled that providing midday meals is part of the right to life under Article 21, emphasizing that children must have access to food and education for their well-being. Article 39A and 47 of the Directive Principle of State Policy directs the state to work towards improving the public health and nutrition. The midday meal scheme directly contributes to fulfilling this responsibility. Article 45, free and compulsory education. Midday meals support this constitutional mandate by ensuring children have an incentive to attend school, thus promoting universal education. The Midday Meal Scheme is covered under the National Food Security Act 2030, making it a legal entitlement for children in government and government aided school. It also ties into the SDG 2 and SDG 4, that is the Sustainable Development Goals 2 and 4, which are zero hunger and quality education respectively. The scheme is crucial because India has a significant number of malnourished children. According to the Global Hunger Index 2022, India ranks 107 out of 121 countries, making such schemes essential for reducing malnutrition and improving educational outcomes. Now let's understand how the midday meal scheme actually works. The scheme covers children from class 1 to class 8 in government and government aided schools. Under the PM Poshan, children in pre-primary classes or Balvatikas are also included. For primary students, that is from class 1 to 5, the meal should provide 450 calories and 12 grams of protein. For upper primary classes, that is from class 6 to class 8, the meal should provide 700 calories and 20 grams of protein. To ensure the quality, the food must meet AGMARK standard, which guarantee that the food is safe and nutritious. The cost of this scheme are shared between the center and the state governments. Typically, the central government covers 60% of the cost, while the states cover 40% of the cost. In northeastern state, the center provides 90% of funding given the region's unique challenges. If a school fails to provide meals on any given day, the states are required to offer a food security allowance. This ensures that no children misses out on a meal due to administrative issues. Clear? So now let's talk about how the scheme has impacted the country so far. So let's talk about the positive outcomes first. This scheme has significantly boosted the school enrollment, especially in rural areas and among girls. For families, the midday meals is a strong reason to send their children to school. A well-fed child is more likely to stay in school, focus on studies, and perform better academically. The World Bank has shown a direct link between improved nutrition and enhanced cognitive abilities. Okay. Providing meals has also reduced dropout rates, as children are more likely to stay in school if they know they will receive a meal. The scheme has helped break down caste and class barriers as children from different backgrounds sit and eat together, fostering a sense of unity. Okay, so the positive outcomes are increased enrollment and educational outcomes, reduced dropout rates, and promotion of social integration. Okay, now let's look at the challenges. While the scheme aims to provide nutritious food, there has been instance where the quality of food is not up to the standard, and in some cases hygiene practices are very poor. Okay, so this can lead to health issues among students and reduce the effectiveness of the program. In some areas, there has been reports of fund mismanagement or leakages where the food or the resources don't reach the children they are intended for. Okay, so for this, direct benefit transfer and improved governance mechanism are some proposed solutions. Not all schools have necessary infrastructure like kitchens or trained staff to prepare and serve meals, which further hampers the implementation of the scheme in certain areas due to lack of infrastructure. Okay. Several measures have been introduced to improve the scheme's performance by the Government of India. One such initiative is the direct benefit transfer to minimize leakages and ensure timely delivery of funds. and by the introduction of micronutrient rich foods to enhance the nutritional quality of meals, introduction of eggs in the menu in several states to boost protein intake, enhanced nutritional monitoring with the help from Anganwadi centers and local government bodies, and the 2023 to 2024 union budget allocated 11,600 crore for PM Poshan, and also decentralized food procurement. Okay, so what does that mean? Some states have adopted decentralized procurement models, allowing local communities to source food which ensures fresher ingredients and better quality. Okay, the scheme is closely monitored through school management committees, okay, SMCs. There are also regular audits by Comptroller Auditor General, the CAG, and communities are also involved for greater accountability. Okay, the CAG report 2020 highlights the areas like delayed payments to cooks and storage of infrastructure and all that, which the government is actively addressing. Okay. Now let's look at the related schemes. There are several schemes that work alongside the midday meal scheme to improve the nutrition and educational outcome. One such is Poshan Abhiyan. Launched in 2018, this particular scheme aims to reduce malnutrition in children and pregnant women. And it also aims to reduce stunning, underweight, anemia in children by promoting better nutrition and awareness. Okay, so it works in tandem with the midday meal scheme by focusing on better nutrition practices at the community level. Then there is the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, enhances the quality of education, complementing the midday meal scheme's effort to increase the attendance. Okay, then the integrated child development service. So ICDC focuses on early childhood care and education, providing supplementary nutrition, health, and preschool education. Together with PM Poshan, it helps improve child development outcomes across the country. Clear? Now let's look at the results and reports. Okay. According to 2019 Niti Aayog report, the midday meal scheme has had a substantial impact on school attendance and child nutrition. Okay, so some key findings are enrollments in school has increased approximately 9% due to the availability of free meals. The scheme has played a significant role in reducing malnutrition, especially in rural and underprivileged areas where food security is an issue. Okay, and girls' enrollment has seen a sharp rise in states where the midday meal program is implemented effectively. A study by the World Food Programme also highlighted how school meal programs like PM Poshan are a cornerstone of efforts to improve education and health outcomes for children globally. Okay. The National Family Health Survey highlights that 35.5% of children under 5 years are stunted. The midday meal scheme addresses such issue directly. The National Family Health Survey and the Global Hunger Index often cite malnutrition as a critical challenge in India. The midday meal scheme plays a key role in addressing this. Then, the Comptroller and Auditor General report in 2020 revealed significant shortcomings in implementation, such as delayed funds and storage of kitchens. In 2022, the Minister of Finance approved a 9.6% hike in the cooking cost per child, reflecting the efforts to meet rising food prices. Okay. So, the midday meal scheme is more than just a feeding program. Okay. So, it is a holistic intervention aimed at improving both health and education outcomes for millions of children. By offering nutritious meals, it encourages parents to send their children to school, which is particularly effective in rural and economically backward areas. These schemes also help in bridging the gender gap in equation as more girls are attending school. However, challenges remain, such as ensuring the quality of food, tackling malnutrition, and addressing implementation gaps. Now that we have covered all essential concepts, it is a time to put your knowledge to test. In this particular segment, we will walk through 5 prelims based questions just like what you'd face in UPSC exam. I encourage you to pass after each question. Okay, that is my recommendation. Give it a try and then resume the video to check your answers. Okay, if needed, feel free to visit any part of the lesson to clarify the concept before attempting the questions again. Once we are done with the prelims practice, we'll move on to the mains questions. Okay, and I'll also give some valuable tips on how to structure your answers, because as you know, the key to scoring well in mains isn't just knowing the content but by presenting it effectively. Okay, before we begin, let me share a few important tips on how to approach UPSC prelims question effectively. First, you must read the questions thoroughly. Don't rush. Many candidates miss keywords like not correct or correct, all of the above and all that. Okay, so always focus on the wording of the questions. Second, apply your basic knowledge. Remember, the foundational concepts are key here. That's why NCERT is important. Okay, if a statement seems off or incorrect based on what you have studied, use the process of elimination. Okay, eliminate the wrong option and you will often be left with the correct one. So this methods help simplify the complex questions. Also, don't forget about the time management. It is very important. If you are unsure of an answer, don't get stuck, move on and return to the question if time permits. So this is the first question. Pause the video, take a moment to think. Okay, let's start solving. Okay, so look at this question. What is asked here? Which of the above statement is or correct? Okay, let's look at statement 1. The statement 1 says that midday meal scheme is covered under the National Food Security Act 2013. Yes, it is indeed a part of the National Food Security Act. Okay, now let's look at the statement 2. The statement 2 is also correct because the scheme is meant for children studying in government and government aided schools. Correct, right? The scheme is specifically designed for children in government and government aided schools. So answer is both 1 and 2. Okay. So this is question 2. Again, pass here. We'll discuss it now. Okay. Which of the following is not an objective of the midday meal scheme? Clear? So, when looking at option A, enhancing enrollment is definitely one of the primary goals of the scheme, right? Okay, so this is actually correct. Now the question is not an objective. Okay, so you have to think about the objectives we discussed and then let's go to option B. Okay, so promoting nutritional health is also a core objective. Then option C, providing financial aid to families is not a part of the midday meal scheme, right? This scheme doesn't directly provide money to families, so it focuses on providing nutritional meals. So this one is not the objective. Okay, then the next option D is increasing attendance is also a key objective. So here the answer is C. Okay, now let's look at the third question. Pass here. Alright, we'll discuss. Okay, the midday meal scheme is linked to which of the following sustainable development goals? A, SDG 1 no poverty, SDG 2 zero hunger, SDG 4 quality education, both B and C. The scheme directly addresses hunger and nutrition. right? So which links it to the sustainable development goal 2, that is zero hunger. It also indirectly support the quality education, right? That is the sustainable development goal 4, by improving school attendance and learning outcomes through better health. So this one is also correct. So answer is both B and C. Okay. Now let's discuss the fourth question. Okay, let's discuss now. Okay, so select the correct option is asked. Okay, so which of the following schemes complement the objectives of the midday meal scheme? The first one is integrated child development service. We already know that it focuses on nutrition and early childhood development, thus complementing the midday meal scheme, right? And then Poshan Abhiyan. So Poshan Abhiyan is another nutrition focused initiative aligning with the scheme's goal. Okay, so that's also correct. Then is Service Shiksha Abhiyan. We have discussed this. It focuses on the universal education, which ties into educational outcomes the midday meal scheme promotes. Okay, so that's also correct. The next is Swachh Bharat Mission. So Swachh Bharat Mission is related to sanitation, but it doesn't directly impact the nutrition and education goals of the midday meal scheme. So the correct answer here is 1, 2 and 3, that is B. Okay. The last question for today in prelims part. Okay, let's solve it. Which one of the following is not a primary objective of the Pradhan Mantri Poshan Shakti Nirman scheme? Okay. A, to improve nutritional standards. So option A, improving nutritional standard, is a key objective of the scheme. Okay. The question is asked, what is not in primary objective? So you have to find that. Option B, to increase school attendance. Yes, it is also a primary objective, right? And option C, to provide midday meals to private schools. Okay, so it is not an objective of the scheme, right? The scheme is aimed at the government and government aided school. Okay, and then option D, to reduce dropout rates, is indeed an objective of the scheme. So the answer is C. Okay, because the scheme does not target the private. So these are the two mains practice questions that we are going to give you today. Okay, so what I recommend is, again, take a screenshot and work on it, and then later come back and listen. Okay, otherwise if you don't have any idea, listen till the end and then work on it. Okay, so this is the first question and this is the second question. Okay, now let's talk about how to break down a UPSC mains question. This is something every serious aspirants need to master, because understanding the question properly is half the battle won. Okay, so you cannot jump into answering a question after just reading the question. You need to first analyze and understand what is it actually asking. This approach will help you structure your answer better and ultimately score more marks. Okay, so the first step is what? To read the question thoroughly. You have to read the question slowly and carefully, so don't rush through it. UPSC often includes keywords that determine how you should answer. For example, words like discuss, okay, or evaluate. Sometimes words like critically analyze will be given. Okay, now let's understand what is these keywords actually means and how is it different from each other. So discuss means that you have to provide both sides, like what works and what doesn't work also. Okay, so you will provide both sides, what works and what doesn't work. Okay, and when asked to evaluate means you have to give your judgment backed by facts. Okay, judgment backed by facts, that is evaluate. What evaluate means? And when asked to critically analyze, what does it means? You need to look at both the positive and the negative aspect, but emphasize like on your critical thinking. Okay, so the thought process is important here. Anyways, next you have to identify the focus of the question. Okay, focus of the question is very very important. So what is it actually asking? Okay, for example, if the question is about the midday meal scheme and its role in children's nutrition, the focus is on the impact of this scheme on nutrition and education. Okay, and not on explaining the scheme itself in great detail. Okay, so always stick to the demand of the question. Okay, so once you understand the key terms and focus areas, break the question into parts. Okay, let's take the first question as an example. The midday meal scheme plays a crucial role in enhancing child nutrition and education outcome in India. Discuss. So what does this ask for? The question is asking us to analyze how the scheme impacts two main areas, that is the nutrition part and the educational outcomes. Okay, so how will you approach this question? For introduction, introduce the scheme briefly by mentioning its purpose, which is to provide some free meals to children, improve their health and education outcomes and all that. Okay, so you can say something like this: the midday meal scheme, launched to improve nutrition and education for school children, is one of India's flagship welfare programs and all that. Okay, the next part is the body part. So in the body part, you have to discuss how the scheme has a positively impact both nutrition and education. Okay, so you can bring in data from reports that we discussed earlier in the lecture. Okay, and you can strengthen your answer likewise. Okay, like you can talk about the nutritional aspect of the scheme, that is by reducing the malnutrition, by providing a balanced diet to children and all that. And then you could also talk about the educational aspect from the point, like you can highlight how it boosts the school enrollment, attendance, and helps retain students, especially from economically weaker section and all that. Okay, then mention some of the challenges that the scheme faces, like quality of food, corruption, okay, like infrastructure issues. Always acknowledge the challenges as a part of a balanced answer. Okay, then for conclude with some suggestions for improving the scheme, like better monitoring or community participation. You could say, like, to make the scheme more effective, better monitoring mechanism can be implemented and all that. Okay, so likewise concluded. Now let's look at the second question. Evaluate the role of midday meal scheme in promoting gender equality in education. Okay, so what does this ask for? This question is specifically asking about gender equality and how the scheme plays a role in that. Okay, so how will you approach this question? So for introduction, begin by explaining how the midday meal scheme encourages families to send their daughters to school, especially in rural areas. Okay, and the midday meal scheme has played a crucial role in increasing school enrollment, particularly for girls and all that. Okay, then in the body part, talk about gender impact of the scheme, because that's what has been asked. Okay, so increase in female enrollment, use that data, relevant data, and highlight it. Okay, and then about the nutritional benefits and how it's a strong factor of keeping them in school and all that. About explain how this scheme has helped reduce dropout rates, especially for girls and all that. Okay, and for challenges, mention the social barriers that still persist, such as traditional gender norms and all that, the need for girls to do household chores, and issues like sanitation in schools and all that. Okay, so these factors that hinder this gender in equality in education and all that. Okay, so you could mention all that. And then for conclusion, end with some suggestions such as improving the sanitation facility in schools and creating more gender sensitive environments for future to promote a future girls education and all that. Okay, and so these two mains practice question for today. Make sure to spend some time and break down each questions identify what is asked, structure your answer accordingly. If you're able to work through these questions, it will help immensely in your answer writing practice. Remember that UPSC is not just about writing long answers. Okay, it is about addressing the questions with precision and structure. Okay, so always stick on to the demand of the question. Don't go off topic. That is a big no. Okay, don't go off topic, and use data where relevant to strengthen your answers, and conclude with a suggestion or reform if question allows it. Okay, and a balanced conclusion shows maturity in thought and all that, so it will be helpful to secure more marks. Okay. No, okay. So after solving these questions, let us know about your thoughts, where you able to answer the questions and all that. Okay, and share your thoughts in the comments, and tell us how helpful this video was in improving your understanding of answer writing for UPSC prelims, and understanding the topic itself, the lecture classes and all that. Okay, so also those who attempted the prelims question, let us know how many you got right. Practicing is the key. Okay, so keep working on both your mains and prelims preparation. Answer writing is one of the most crucial part in UPSC preparation, and practicing regularly will help you master this skill. So keep practicing. Okay, this completes our discussion on midday meal scheme. Don't forget to go through the lecture and the practice question that we have covered today. Practice framing your answers using the suggested format, and stay tuned for our next lecture. Thank you. Bye bye.